The last patch of this ranked season just released, so we're going to be showing you guys a new flaming hot build. With player damage being increased early and Brand getting buffed, this gives us a good opportunity to talk about Demon Sorcerers, the ultimate mid-game composition. With damage being so high, Demon Sorcerers lets you eliminate players quickly and effectively while having options to adapt and overcome your obstacles. But first, I'd like to remind you to click on the link below and take a look at the updated ProGuides.com if you want to learn more about teamfight tactics. ProGuides will always have info on the newest patches, best builds, and strategies. There are all kinds of different resources from top players to help you become the best player you can be. So be sure to check out ProGuides.com using the link in the description. Now, let's get right back into the video. We're going to review over this devilish composition at all stages of the game, what items to focus on, and how to climb with it most effectively. This composition is extremely flexible and not too demanding in terms of role. So let's start with the early game. At the start of the game, you want to aim for any strong units you can find. The damage buffs of the early game has led sandbagging to be extremely dangerous and usually leading to a loss, so you want to aim for the strongest early game units like Zed, Nicolai, Kha'Zix, Lucian, Varus, and Lissandra. Since this is more early on, you more than likely won't have the gold to roll for the units you want, so try to pick up any strong upgrades you can. Smaller synergies like 2 Brawlers, 2 Wild, 3 Sorcerers, 3 Assassins, and 2 Knights are all great options to look out for when playing the early game. For items, you want to look for Morrocrux and Guardian Angel. These are both great items to always look for to give you tons of strength in the mid-game. Items like Redemption, Thief's Glove, Static Shiv, Ionic Spark, and Luden's Echo are also strong items to go for as well, while synergizing with potential carries later on. It is also important to remember to equip base items on units to win early on. If you have a Warwick 2-star you're likely to sell later, then give it a Giant's Belt or a Chain Vest. It might just win you the fight. While you might play aggressively early, don't roll minimally before level 5. It's better to try to build up economy as well. If you have the option between 2 Warwicks or 20 gold, it's usually worth to go for the gold instead. There's no point in keeping a weak pair you won't use over gold for a stronger mid-game. Once we've built ourselves some gold and a decently strong team, it's time to move on to the mid-game. As you've hit level 6, it's time for this composition to truly shine. This is the most important part of the game for Demon Sorcerers, so grab your pitchforks and horns. Your core demons are going to be Morgana and Brand for different reasons. Morgana isn't known for her damage, but her powerful synergies and crowd control. In combination with Guardian Angel, she can easily stun almost entire teams, while providing Demon and Sorcerer for your team. Brand is on fire right now, both figuratively and physically. After the buffs, he is an extremely dominant powerhouse, not even needing items to carry, though it would be nice if you stacked him. Units you want to look out for are Lulu, Aatrox, Veigar, Twisted Fate, Varus, Lissandra, Kennen, Gnar, Aurelion Sol, Shyvana, Poppy, Sejuani, and Ahri. You want to try to adapt your composition accordingly while keeping at minimal 2 demons and 3 sorcerers. Lissandra and Kennen provide an insane amount of damage with sorcerers, and in combination with Brand, you get a golem to provide a tank for your usually squishy team. Aatrox and Varus are often overlooked, both being insanely powerful mid-game carries with their hellish base damages. Aatrox synergizing particularly well with Guardian Angel. Lulu and Twisted Fate are fantastic sorcerers to provide support, as your team will typically have a ton of damage already. Veigar can be slotted in as a 3rd sorcerer to provide 3 Yordles alongside Lulu and Kennen as well. Ahri can be used if you're running Gnar to give 2 wilds, making Gnar with on-hit items like Giant Slayer somewhat decent. Poppy and Sejuani are a powerful duo, Poppy specifically synergizing well with potentially 3 Yordles and utilizing the sorcerer buffs. Sejuani can also provide a strong ultimate to hold the enemy team back. Shyvana and Aurelion Sol, well, you get the picture. Dragons are powerful. Regarding economy, you always want to maintain a balance between health and gold. While being above 50 gold might be nice, you also want to keep track of 2 things. 1, make sure the units you're going for aren't contested. If you're planning on a team that has already been rolled by a majority of the lobby, you put yourself into a dead end. Always scout and try to roll before they do. Secondly, you want to always be stronger than average, but don't burn all your economy to be the strongest. If you're at the top using all your gold, you put yourself behind in economy while not getting priority in carousel. If you do spend all your gold, you're depending on a win streak to catch up to the late game. But it's always possible someone believed in the heart of the cards to roll better than you. As you've hit level 8, it's time we talk about the late game. Hopefully you've leveled up with 20 to 50 gold remaining. If you're lacking upgrades, then aiming for a strong level 7 composition is always better. If you did have the gold for level 8, then you want to aim for the final late game transition. Units you want to look for is Karthus, Swain, Pantheon, Anivia, and Kayle. Yasuo and Misfortune are not bad as well, but not the most optimal units in this composition. However, if you 2-star them, then they aren't bad filler units. In the late game, you want to learn how to transition out of 3 Yordles and 3 Elementals if necessary. They start to fall off in the late game and definitely are a lot weaker than Swain, Gnar, Shyvana for 3 Shapeshifters or Pantheon and Aurelion Sol for Dragons. Units like Varus, Aatrox, Lissandra, Ahri, and most mid-game units are better replaced for stronger units and synergies, especially if you're in a lobby where dragons are prevalent. While early game damage might be higher, the late game 5-cost buffs are still relevant to use when playing the late game. If you're around 30 health, you want to be extremely cautious, especially if you have a lot of gold. In the late game, you can easily get destroyed and take a ton of damage, so don't hesitate to all in to ensure yourself safety with stronger units. If you're healthy enough, have enough gold, and already have a strong team, then aiming for level 9 is also a good push as well. Examples of teams you can run are Demon, Sorcerer, Shapeshifter, Dragons using Morgana, Karthus, Aurelion Sol, Swain, Shyvana, Gnar, Brand, and Aatrox. This team has multiple carries, tons of damage, and incredibly difficult to kill and burst down. It's the most expensive team, but also the most optimal. Demon, Sorcerer, Phantom, Rager, Elemental, using Varus, Kindred, Brand, Karthus, Aatrox as a Sorcerer, Morgana, Kennen, and Anivia. This composition is decent to run if dragons are difficult to find, using Aatrox, Morgana, Kennen, and the Golem as frontline, then the rest in the back. This leads to a well-balanced team. Demon, Sorcerer, Yordle, Knights, Elementals, using Poppy, Sejuani, Morgana, Brand, Lulu, Karthus, Kennen, and Anivia. This team combines a lot of strong units who synergize well with each other, capable of being relatively tanky with Knights, Elementals, and Yordles being defensive traits. These are all compositions to look for. Most importantly, try to synergize around what you roll, as that's the most important thing to remember to win with this team. Now that we've gone over all points of the game, it's time we moved on to itemization. As you play this composition, one of the most important things to always go for is Guardian Angel. This item synergizes extremely well with Swain, Kennen, Lissandra, Aatrox, and Morgana, so always be on the lookout for it. Lissandra, Kennen, and Swain can all pretty much use the same items, Guardian Angel and Morellonomicon as core. You can run them on Kennen and Lissandra in the early and mid game, but if you roll a Swain 2-star, then it's usually worth selling Kennen and Lissandra to give Swain as core items. Aurelion Sol and Brand can use an insane amount of items, working with Static Shiv, Rage Blade, Rabadon's Deathcap, Arcane Gauntlet, Ionic Spark, Seraph's Embrace, Spear of Shojin, Backhand, and QSS. Just keep in mind, don't give Elementals Yuumi. While the 40% AP is nice, you waste double mana gain for another unit. Thief's Glove can find its way onto many units in this composition. Almost anyone can use Thief's Glove, except support mages like Lulu and Twisted Fate. While it's not bad on them, the aggressive stats and passive effects make it typically better on damage units. If you find yourself with a bunch of tank items, then your best option is saying, good game, and conceding. Okay, but no, seriously, tank items can work well on a majority of your frontline, so Morgana, Sejuani, Gnar, and so on. Items that you are okay making, but usually shouldn't prioritize, is Warmogs, Frozen Heart, and Thornmail. Redemption is actually an item you should prioritize, being insanely strong in the mid-game, usually put on weaker frontline units to get the healing more consistently. Iceborne Gauntlet also works on any frontline that dodges, so Gnar or Poppy with 3 Yordles and Shen. Now that we've gone over items, it's time to discuss about positioning. At 2 stars, Morgana, Kennen, Swain, Aatrox, Gnar, and Shyvana should all be placed in the front. This allows them to get their ultimates quickly and effectively. Try to be aware of who's going to take the most aggro and try to spread it out. If you let one unit take all the damage, they're probably going to die too quickly, right? As always, try to position your backline carries in the very back. As the game goes on, it's important to spread them out as well to play around crowd control like Cho'Gath or Sejuani, or damage like Aurelion Sol. During the mid-game, you can use your weakest units, typically 1-stars, as bait against assassins and units like Aurelion Sol or Brand as well. Though, do not do this with support sorcerers like Lulu or Twisted Fate. They're probably better off with your backline. You want to pay attention for Kennen, Morgana, and Sejuani's positioning. It's usually best if they're centered to get the best average, but if you scout around and notice most people play around the left side of the map, then move them over to get your AoE off more effectively. Demon Sorcerer doesn't have any specific positioning, just keep priority ultimates in the front like Kennen, Morgana, and Sejuani, then backline carries and support units in the back. Moving on, let's say you're not playing Demon Sorcerers, but fighting against it. Let's discuss its counters. One of the strongest counters to demons is obvious, Holy Water. Wait, that's not an option in this game. Dragons are one of the strongest synergies when facing demons due to a large majority of their damage being magic. If you can't fit dragons into your team, then Dragon Claws are also a good item to look for on your hyper carry. Their only way of effectively dealing damage is Giant Slayer on units like Gnar, Rangers with Kindred and Varus, and Morellonomicon's Burn. Brawlers can gain the upper hand against demons, having a lot of base health to shred through. Positioning around AoE and using a carry like Jinx or Kai'Sa with Giant Slayer and Dragon Claw makes it extremely difficult for a Demon Sorcerer team to handle them. Though not being as strong, Draven can be an insanely strong carry against Demon Sorcerers, with the majority of their composition being squishy. As long as Draven has his core items, Dragon Claw, Rapid Fire Cannon, and Bloodthirster, he becomes very difficult to kill while two-shotting their carries. His range in combination with Rapid Fire Cannon can be useful against units like Brand as well, who might focus him and get no bounces off because his front line already moved far away from him. Demon Sorcerers is a difficult composition to counter. With its many options to adapt to, it's almost impossible to find a way to consistently beat it. While it does get outscaled by late game compositions like Hyper Carry Kai'Sa, it mostly depends if you can even make it to the late game. Though it's not immortal, as items like Dragon Claw completely counter 75% of their main damage. Finally, that leads to our conclusion. Demon Sorcerers excels with the extreme rise in damage, utilizing the mid-game to wipe players out effectively. Its adaptive capabilities and strength in many units makes it a favorable composition in this meta. It's Brand's time to shine in the spotlight. Do you think the Brand buffs were insane? What do you guys think was the strongest composition throughout the metas? Remember, subscribe to our YouTube channel and visit ProGuides.com to stay up to date on all things teamfight tactics. We wish you guys good luck in your next games, and we'll see y'all next time.